Groupon makes a change at the top. The board has ousted CEO and co-founder Andrew Mason a day after the Daily Deal site reported disappointing earnings and saw its stock plunge 24%. And D.C. gas prices are averaging $3.98 a gallon. And guys, they're lower in Maryland at $3.72 and even lower in Virginia at $3.64. I think that's where I would go.
You're right. It's a good move. Thank you, Shartia. Appreciate it.
The Center for Economic and Policy Research estimates that unemployment among ex-offenders costs the U.S. at least $57 billion in lost input annually. We're here at the Belvedere Cafe in New Britain, Connecticut, as hundreds of supporters come out to raise money for injured officer Brett Morgan. It remains a very active scene here tonight. State Police Major Crimes Unit investigating an earlier police-involved shooting. How was it growing up in the 40s and 50s during such a tumultuous time in our nation's history in that part of the country, and how did it shape you?
Well, you know, despite rumors to the contrary, African Americans were pretty aware of the differences that they were allowed. We didn't just wake up to 1964 and all of a sudden there's Rosa Parks on the bus. My parents, who are from the South, my dad's from Terre Haute, Indiana, and my mom's from Carbondale, Alabama. They grew up in the heart of this segregation, you know, and one of the things they insisted that we understand is that we're as good as everybody else. And the only person who can dictate how we are us.
You're launching Finding the Right Notes Foundation to expose young people to the arts, visual, music, dance. What impact do you think this will have on a young person's development and helping them to see a brighter future for themselves?
Well, you know, there have been enough surveys that have proven that the kids who study music at an early age have a better grasp of math, they have a better grasp of life surroundings, you know, they have better grasp of emotional responses, stimuli. So music itself is proven to be pretty important for a younger kid's development.
I'm Shartia Brantley with the Griot, and I'm very excited to have with me today Ms. Terry Williams. She's president and COO of One United Bank. It's the largest black-owned bank in the U.S. with about $660 million in assets. It's time for us to get up close and personal and also tap her brain on what she's seeing in the economy. I know you wrote recently, I Got Bank, a book for children to increase their knowledge on financial literacy. It goes back to your idea of wanting to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. So what drove you to write that book?
Mm-hmm. I looked around and said, okay, we need some materials. You know, went online, went in bookstores, and really couldn't find anything that talked about money to urban kids. And I saw a lot of kids a lot of books that were about, you know, kids in, you know, suburbia. Or they were talking about things that really didn't speak to our community. And I said, okay, I'm going to write like a little pamphlet, something that our managers can use in these schools.
African Americans account for 13.6% of the U.S. population. So going into the analysis, I assume that we would be a much larger percentage of the 1%. And turns out 1.4% of the 1% are African Americans.
What are the income disparities in that top bracket?
Within the 1%, African Americans make about 22% less than Caucasians, and I'm using them as a comparison point since they comprise the majority of the 1%. But what we found, the issue is not so much on income as it is on net worth. And that is where the disparity really is very prevalent. African Americans in the top 1% have net income, a median net income of $1.2 million, but Caucasians have $8.3 million. Thomas, we have at least 729,000 men and women that are released every year from prison. So we need to find a solution to getting them back to work and make them tax-paying citizens again.
Do we know why men who have been incarcerated are not being counted as part of the official reported unemployment percentage?
Well, right now, your criminal background is not a question that's asked during the household surveys when they look at calculating the unemployment rate. And so what happens so many times when people are released from prison, they're going back to communities that are already have been hard hit by the economy. So they're going into situations where the unemployment may be double digit already.